So yeah, my name is Jasper de Maere. I'm the head of research at Outlier Ventures. So for those who don't know, Outlier Ventures is a Web3 accelerator. So in practice, we take on what we call cohorts. So we surround companies with capabilities around finance, technology, go-to-market products. And we try to bolster them as they go through their initial funding rounds. So we move them from like a POC into the MVP stage. We're very involved there. And then obviously, like as we have these alumni, we're currently coming up to like 300 companies in portfolio. We spend a lot of time with them post-program as well. And yeah, a prime example is IDOS, for example. Like we continue to work with them. We see how they grow in the ecosystem. It's a very rewarding one. I like it. It's a cool place to be. Open finance is about bringing the functionality that is unlocked by having decentralized infrastructure, right? So we've been building it out for like the past 15 years, and now is really the time to push it to the consumer, bring this functionality and bring this modular stack together, something that hasn't happened so far. Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I think the base assumption initially when blockchain was like being properly rolled out was that it would be consumer driven, based on the desire of the consumer to like be in a whole deal with bearer assets, have like self-custodianship. Increasingly, we're moving into this consensus where we have these very useful pockets of technology now, and it's up to the industry, I think, to provide a very elegant solution to push to the consumer in a very seamless way. So my suspicion is in a couple of years, a lot of it will happen on blockchain, but ultimately, like the average consumer won't have an idea of like what technology is ultimately backing the stack. They just enjoy the extra functionality. So that's where we are. We need someone to pull it together into a very elegant solution. And I think that's why OpenFi is really this movement blooming today, because everyone's coming together. There's a realization that this needs to happen. And so it's good to see everyone excited about this. It is very much this structuring of the solution in a digestible way for consumers. So we have the stack. If you would stress test all protocols and all applications, there is functionality. Like all of them, if you look at like the value prop, they all have them, but you need to blend it in a way that is very digestible. I think there's still a little bit of friction, so account abstraction is going to be very big. A lot of these building blocks are now maturing. The reason why it hasn't happened earlier is because if you look at the sequence of events, you need the infrastructure layer to be very sound, which is your DeFi, your core blockchain primitives, your Oracle nodes. We had a DeFi summer in like 2019, 2020. We're 5 years later. The tech stack is maturing, TPS is improving, costs are coming down. So that's all very viable. And now let's move on to the higher layers. Let's move on to the asset layer. Let's move on to the orchestration layer. And the companies we see today, like they've been doing a great job at like building over the past, whatever, decade, half decades. They have these solutions, and I think now there's finally an opportunity for them to fit into the tech stack. So that's the excitement. The challenge is like, okay, how do we present this solution in a very like complete package? Yeah, whether or not it's going to be an existing neobank or new players, my money's on a new player, but let's see who gets there first. I think like identity, KYC, AML is a very underappreciated subject within the space, because initially, culturally, it's very like anti-culture. The way we got established in like 2008, like what was inscribed into the first block of Bitcoin, it's very against the existing like regulatory paradigm. The reality is like that's not going to change, and people need to understand that like you will have a baseline identity in any type of solution you use. The excitement for me about what IDOS is doing is bringing this all together into something which is like, it's not necessarily a wallet, it's very much your account, which feeds into everything across the finance stack. So it is this one-stop shop solution which prevents you from repetitive KYC, which is honestly like extremely tedious. Like, give me your passport number, what is the expiry date? Everyone got over it after the 5th time. So bringing all of this together is super cool. And I also believe that if we look at what's being built and like IDOS feeds in that, I think we're still underappreciating the global impact, because we're looking at the existing financial infrastructure and the existing financial realm as the dam or whatever is being like disrupted. I believe it's going to be much bigger than that, because I think we are going into like hyper financialization. Desocial is a very big one within that trend. And I think we'll have different pockets in society, like your social, like the creator economy, which will become like very financially heavy. Financial markets will find their way into many different assets. And then having like this one account, again, from which you can like manage your different assets in a very compliant way is extremely important. It's just a very big cornerstone. Yeah, a lot of people ask me like, how does it source? I think because it's so fleeting and like the space changes in a time span of a month, you're looking at mosaic theory. So you're just, I think the key thing people need to do is touch it, touch the tech. It's very beautiful to read the white papers. It's cool to sit on the forums and scroll a little bit as to what the community is up to, but just like fire up your Web3 wallet, put some assets in there, touch it, see how it goes. And I think a lot of people would be surprised on how frictionless it actually is, and like how they're already like very sophisticated solutions, which come super close to what we currently have already. So a lot of people are still slightly like backed off by Web3 as a whole, because we have some other trends like meme coins taking away a lot of the attention, but the serious builders have been doing it, like I think, a great job. So again, like touch it, use it, and I think that's the best learning. It's not necessarily a wish. I just hope the prediction of where we currently are just is not disproven. And it's, if you look at usual tech adoption cycles, we are at arguably an inflection point. Whatever, 400 million people have crypto. That's like whatever, 11, no less, whatever, 8-9% of the population. Usually as you come to like whatever 15-20%, you have like very strong inflection, and then 20 to 80% adoption of technology happens within the same time span as like 0 to 20. So I just hope that like what we learned about tech cycles in the past continues to happen with Web3, because if that's the case, the next decade is really the time to be involved. I think like a lot of stuff will happen as we reach this inflection point. And that's also like open finance is very exciting space, because it hits the consumer. Like it hits the consumer, it adds a lot of value there. For anyone who's been involved into the space the past 10 years, like obviously we had super cycles. It's been like high highs, low lows. Now is not the time to throw in the towel. I think it's going to be pretty cool over the next decade. Yeah, no, definitely. So a lot of my specific role within OV is identifying pockets of excitement. And I think we're making a very strong case for OpenFi. There's a lot of stuff happening. We're seeing a lot of like early stage companies as well. So I think the prediction is that we'll be very strongly involved into the ecosystem over the foreseeable future, this cycle and thereafter, as we have like more and more alumni coming online. So definitely I think it's a space we're going to be very heavily involved in, and internally there's a lot of excitement about the space as well. So yeah.